everyone. Thank you for joining us for the John Carroll University College Application and Essay Workshop. We hope you'll find this as a resource and utilize it as you start thinking about your college application. I am Abby Joyce, an Associate Director of Enrollment at John Carroll University, and I'm a John Carroll grad, class of 2008. Also joining me is Allison Goldhammer.
Hi, I'm Allison. I am also an Associate Director of Enrollment here at John Carroll University, and I did my master's at John Carroll. So we're going to touch a little bit on the Common Application before we dive into the essay itself, just to kind of get you guys ready for what those next steps look like as you begin the college search process. So the biggest question we get asked is, where do I begin? How do I start this process? And our biggest suggestion and word of advice is for you to get organized first and foremost. That is going to be so key in your success for this whole process, and it'll really just make it a lot easier and a lot less stressful for you. So some families will utilize Google Calendar. Some students will create an email address that's specific to the college search process. Figure out a system that works for you guys and put it into place. One of the big things through this process that we encourage families to be very much aware of are, of course, the deadlines, as well as the different kinds of applications that are available. So when you're looking at applying to different schools, you want to be conscious of which schools are considered early action applications, early decision, or rolling admission. But you also want to be aware of application deadlines and also deadlines for things like scholarships, honors programs, those types of things. It's important for you to take your time through this process. You really want to make sure that you're being very detail oriented, proofreading everything, really not rushing to get things done, especially when you are up against those deadlines. So being organized and sort of planning out what that's going to look like for you will be really helpful so that you can make the most of your time and, again, try to alleviate some of that stress that could otherwise show up in this process. One other tip and trick that we always encourage students to do is to really be proud of your involvement and your accomplishments. We often joke this is the one and only time in your life where you can brag about yourself and get money for it. So this is the time to really, toot your own horn and share all the great things that you've done. So there's a place on the Common App to list that as far as your extracurricular involvement, but it's a great place for you to make sure that you're elaborating on things, especially if you do service work, if you've held any leadership positions, if you have a part-time job. Those are all things you want to make sure that you're highlighting with your list of accomplishments and different types of involvement. And then last but not least, one thing that we always want to encourage is for you to be courteous to your admission representative. These are people that are visiting your high school, meeting with you at a college fair, or oftentimes hosting interviews or one-on-one appointments. But they're also the person that's going to be involved in evaluating your application as part of the committee. So it's important for you to build a good relationship with them. It's something that we appreciate in working with you, having respectful and cordial conversations. So just be conscious of that as you're going through this process.
Thanks, Allison. So now let's focus on some of the things that you might want to avoid. To reiterate one of the previous points, do not miss deadlines. Deadlines are typically hard and fast in the college application process, and they will vary at each institution. Deadlines are not only important for applications, but also very important for scholarship applications as well. We would hate to see you miss out any funding due to a missed deadline. Also, an important note, regarding deadlines, majority of applications are now electronic. So do not wait until the last moment to submit anything so you can avoid any technical glitches. Do not let your parents complete your application. It is very apparent to application reviewers when a parent has completed the app. There are sections on the application that you'll need parent information, family information. So of course, sit down with your parents and ask for their guidance, but be sure you're the one taking the action. Letters of recommendation are important. So that an admission committee can learn more about you as a person from a different perspective. It's important to ask for recommendations from teachers and counselors that know you best. Sometimes students think they should go right to the principal or president of their school, so it will look stronger on their application. However, that might not always be the case. VIP members of your school might not know you best, or might not have the time to really focus and put on the full extent of that letter of recommendation. With that being said, be sure you're asking your letter writers in plenty of time to give them enough time to submit their letter of rec. Do not give them a short window of time. Typically, a month or 6 weeks might even give every teacher and every counselor at least the start to begin that letter of recommendation. So we're going to go ahead and jump into writing the college essay. So basically, what are we hoping to get from this essay? So first and foremost, the essay in your application allows us to assess your writing ability. The college essay is a formal piece of your writing. Treat your essay like one that you would submit to your English teacher. Proper grammar, punctuation, and sentence structure. Be concise, but also descriptive. The essay should not be one big paragraph, but approximately 4 to 5 strong paragraphs. The application has many parts: the transcript, testing, and essay. The strength of your essay can confirm the grades on your transcript or the scores on your ACT or SAT exams. However, some students might be challenged by standardized tests. The essay may be another place to show or confirm your ability level. Some colleges may use the essay to determine eligibility for special scholarships, like an honors program, or perhaps because you wrote about a unique topic. They will think to recommend you for a scholarship opportunity that relates to the topic, perhaps a musical instrument talent. So always think about some of those unique things that you might want to incorporate in your essay. The essay can help an admissions committee gauge the fit of the university for the student and vice versa. A committee hopes to build a class of students that will be successful and thrive at their institution. Admission committees will review hundreds, if not thousands, of essays in an application season. This essay can give the committee an opportunity to get a glimpse of your personality. We want to know more about you, who you are beyond a student. Build your essay to set yourself apart, all while being true to who you are. Use the essay to set yourself apart, different from what is shown on your transcript, resume, testing. Students can blend together. So bring in something unique, especially if you are one of the students from your class that might be applying to a like institution, a large institution that many of your classmates might be applying to. So very similar things will show up on your application, like your resume, different involvements in clubs or certain courses you took. So this essay is really that one opportunity to set yourself apart.
So some things to consider as you begin writing your essay. This is a formal sample of your writing. So you want to make sure that you are putting your best foot forward in what you're submitting. Make sure that you're getting that second or third set of eyes on it. Make sure you're proofreading. Definitely using the spell check so that you really are showing how strong you are as a writer and really just showing admission committees that you are taking this process seriously. When you are submitting your essay, especially through the Common App, you do want to be conscious of not mentioning schools by name. The essay that you upload will typically be sent to all of the schools that you are submitting your application for. So I can't tell you how disheartening it is when we're reading an application and an essay and we read this beautiful essay and we get to the end and it mentions a different school's name. So it is important for you, if you decide that you want to personalize it by mentioning schools by name, submit it to each school individually. But a good rule of thumb is just to not submit essays with names in the content. Make sure that you're not using your essay as a way to summarize your list of extracurriculars or your activities. It's something that we already see on the Common Application through your list of extracurriculars. So the essay is really where you want to highlight one of those opportunities or experiences that you've had. So maybe share a little bit more about a club or organization that you're a part of, maybe some of the leadership skills that you've learned or ways that you've been involved, what impact it's had on you. Maybe you had a really cool experience that you couldn't necessarily find a way to list that as an extracurricular, but you really wanted to share that for us, or it's a great place for you to provide context. So maybe there's some information that we're not going to glean from somewhere else on your application, and essay is a great place to share that. One recommendation that we have is to try to avoid any hot button issues or topics. You never know who's going to be reviewing your application and reading that essay and what their take on things may be. So it's usually a good rule of thumb to try to avoid that. If it is something that is central to who you are and something that you really feel you have to write about, make sure that you are approaching it in a respectful way. So just be conscious of that if that is an avenue that you decide to pursue. Something that we do come across with some students is that they really want to stand out as far as how they format their essay or the content that they include, and they try to be very creative. We appreciate originality, but make sure that it's not coming across as gimmicky, and also make sure that you're not losing context or content, I should say. It's easy for students to try to get so creative that we lose the actual depth to what they're trying to share. And so if you do decide to pursue that avenue, make sure that you are still staying grounded in the content that you want admissions committees to be aware of. And then last but not least, make sure that you're not lying or writing what you think an admission committee wants to hear. It's important for you to be truthful and to be honest. Oftentimes, if a student is sharing something that maybe is untrue, we usually can figure that out in reading letters of recommendation, looking at lists of extracurriculars, gathering information from other places on the application. So it's better for you to just be yourself and be upfront and truthful in what you're submitting to those admission committees.
Great. So with that, today we're going to focus on the Common Application Essay. The Common Application is an undergraduate common admission application that applicants may use to apply to almost 900 different universities, institutions. So the Common App sets their prompts each year so that they are a broad range for students. For the 2020-21 Common App year, there are 7 prompts to choose from. So we're going to go through each prompt and talk a little bit more about what each of the prompts are actually asking. The first prompt. Some students have a background, identity, interest, or talent that is so meaningful that they believe their application would be incomplete without it. If this sounds like you, then please share your story.
So with this prompt, the answer typically is meant to reflect on a hobby, a facet of your personality, or an experience that is genuinely meaningful and unique to you as a person. Admissions officers really want to feel connected to you. And so an open and honest personal statement about who you are always draws them in. It can be your love of superheroes, your baking success, your family history. All of those are fair game. If you can tie it back to who you are and what you believe in, it's definitely what you want to focus on. Try to avoid a rehash of those accomplishments that you've had in high school and that you've listed on that resume or that list of extracurriculars. Maybe choose something that the admission committee won't see somewhere else while they're reading the rest of your application.
Great. To reiterate some things that Allison mentioned, you want to make sure you're choosing something that is central to you as a person. Give context on a challenge you have faced. So perhaps somewhere in your application, a challenge has been brought up. Perhaps through your transcript, we can see a drop in grades. This might be your opportunity to give that context of what was that challenge, and how has it impacted you, and perhaps how has it maybe made you a better student, for example. Try to avoid rehashing your resume listed on your application. We can easily read that, so we want to use this essay as another opportunity. And then finally, what makes you you? So prompt number 2 is the lessons we learn from obstacles we encounter can be fundamental to later success. Recount a time when you faced a challenge, setback, or failure. How did it affect you, and what did you learn from the experience?
So in this prompt, you're really trying to show colleges your best self. So it might seem kind of counterintuitive to willingly acknowledge a time when you may have struggled, but overcoming challenges really demonstrates courage, grit, and perseverance. So that's why this last piece of the prompt is essential. The obstacle you write about can be large or small, but you must show the admissions committee how your perspective changed as a result.
So like Allison said, it's really important to answer each part of the question. If you were just to list the failure and not provide the response to that failure, it can leave a negative feeling towards that essay. Think about what you consider a setback or failure versus what others might be facing. We understand that every student's going to have a different background. So if you are able to write about a certain topic that you might think is a failure, something like losing a football game or a basketball game. We understand that can be a really impactful experience for a student, but recognize that other students are gonna have different experiences, and so your reviewer might have a different insight to what you're writing about. So just be honest about that failure and why it personally did impact you. So our next prompt is reflect on a time when you questioned or challenged a belief or idea. What prompted your thinking, and what was the outcome?
So your answer to this question could focus on a time when you stood up to others or an experience when your own preconceived view was challenged. Choose this prompt if you have a relevant and specific experience to recount and reflect on. A vague essay about a hot button issue doesn't tell the admission committee anything useful about you.
So be sure to answer all parts of this prompt. Once again, every question does help build the essay. It is important if you were going to, you could avoid the hot button issue. However, if it is an issue or a topic or idea that does really build who you are as an individual, that is fine if you do touch on that issue. However, it's important that you do approach it respectfully, recognizing the audience and that they're going to maybe have a different perspective from you. And it's just important that you're respectful to that. And then finally, be specific. If there is a belief or an idea, how has that impacted you? Give an example so it can build a little bit more to that essay. All right, prompt 4. Describe a problem you've solved or a problem you would like to solve. It can be an intellectual challenge, a research query, an ethical dilemma, anything that is of personal importance, no matter the scale. Explain the significance to you and what steps you took or could be taken to identify a solution.
So this essay is really designed to get at the heart of how you think and really what makes you tick. So present a situation or quandary and show the steps towards the solution. Admission officers want insight into your thought process and the issues that you grapple with. So explain how you became aware of the dilemma and also how you tackled solving it. Don't forget to explain why the problem is important to you as well.
So of course, don't just present the issue, share the solution. However, we recognize that not all problems are going to have a solution or even a successful solution. So highlight your thought process. So it can build out the ideas that you had or the reason why you thought you were going to be able to come up with a solution, or, you know, even if that solution didn't work out, exactly what were the next steps that you took. And then like Allison said, why is this important to you? As all these essay topics are centered around who you are as an individual. All right, our next prompt, discuss an accomplishment, event, or realization that sparked a period of personal growth and new understanding of yourself or others.
Just like in prompt number 2, the accomplishment or event you write about can be anything from a major milestone to a smaller aha moment. Describe the event or accomplishment that shaped you, but take care to also show what you learned and how you changed. Colleges are looking for a sense of maturity and introspection, so pinpointing the transformation and demonstrating your personal growth is really key.
All right, so the big thing about this essay prompt is what do you view as an accomplishment? This can vary from student to student. There can be some really large accomplishments out there, and then there might be some that you might think are really small. Allison had a great example of one.
Yeah, I read an essay from a student this year who talked about getting their driver's license and how it was something that they worked towards and finally achieved. And it was this monumental moment because now they gained this independence and they were able to help around at home, you know, picking up groceries for their mom. And it really was just an accomplishment that had a significant impact on them overall.
So that also answers, how does this impact you and those around you? And then finally, just share your story. All right, so our next Common App essay prompt is describe a topic, idea, or concept you find so engaging that it makes you lose all track of time. How does it captivate you? What or who do you turn to when you want to learn more?
So this prompt is really an invitation for you to write about something that you care about. So it's important to avoid the pitfall of writing about what you think will impress an admissions office versus what truly matters to you. Colleges are looking for curious students who are thoughtful about the world around them. The what or who do you turn to when you want to learn more bit isn't an afterthought. It's really a key piece of the prompt. So make sure you explain how you pursue your interests as well.
The important thing here is to be honest. We don't want you to feel like you have to sell yourself to the admissions committee. So if there is a topic that is so important to you that you want to write about it, please do. Very common things like Harry Potter, a certain sporting event, or a skill that you might have. Feel free to write about it because it really does give us an opportunity about who you are as a student. So try to give examples for all parts of the prompt. So for example, the last part of the question is what or who do you turn to when you want to learn more? Be sure to answer that. It does give us another perspective. Okay, so this is prompt 7, and it goes like this. Share an essay on any topic of your choice. It can be one you've already written, one that responds to a different prompt, or one of your own design.
So this question might be for those of you who have a Dynamo personality or a Dynamo personality as well as personal essay from an English class that you want to share, or you were really inspired by a question from another college's application. You can even write your own question. Really, it's whatever topic you land on. The key things to take away are the essentials of a standout college essay, which is to show the admission committee who you are beyond grades and test scores. It's important to dig into your topic by asking yourself how and why. And since there isn't a prompt to guide you, you must ask yourself the questions that will get at the heart of the story that you want to tell.
Great. So it's important that you do not think to just upload any generic essay. This is not an easy out. We still want to learn about you. So be sure that you're choosing a prompt or a topic that is still about who you are as an individual. So choose an essay that pertains to you. This is where you can continue to personalize your application. So we wouldn't want to see any type of essay coming from, an English or history topic. Again, it's just all about who you are as an individual.
So a few key takeaways from what we've shared today. First and foremost, proofread. Again, this is a formal sample of your writing, so make sure that you are putting your best foot forward. Put that effort in to make sure that you really are spot checking everything so that you're presenting your best self in this essay. Make sure that your essay does add something to your application. So make sure that it's something that we're not going to find anywhere else. This is just a way for you to sort of share your story, have your voice and your personality included in your application. So make sure that you maximize this space to really enhance your application in some way. Remember that nobody wants to be your second choice, so avoid identifying a school by name. And then, of course, the most important thing, stay true to you.
Well, thank you, everyone. Allison and I really enjoyed being able to give you some of our tips and tricks for the application process, and then, of course, writing your college essay. If you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You'll be able to find our contact information on our website, which is listed here, or shoot an email to the admission@jcu.edu, and they'll be sure to direct it to us. Thank you, everyone, and we hope you all have a great day.